What's up everyone, and welcome to another Rust electrical tutorial. I'm Austin, and today I'm going to be covering the basics on how to use the new Seismic sensor. Now this was a recent and outstanding new addition to the game in 2024, and due to the sheer volume of what this really means and what can be done with this, I'm just going to cover the basics today, but I will of course output some subsequent videos on ways to use this from basic to more advanced. So we're gonna get started with crafting. Crafting it is very, very simple. It is 3 high quality metal and 1 tech trash on a level 2 workbench. Pretty easy there. As far as placement goes, you can place it on pretty much everywhere you'd expect: walls, floors, ceilings, and then not places you wouldn't expect, like doors and so forth. So pretty self-explanatory there. Powering is very simple. It's 1 rust watt total to power it, but it will output 1, 2, or 3 rust watts depending on what it detects, despite having a single power requirement of 1. Now that could change. It wouldn't surprise me if they updated this later to require you to say send 3 rust watts to it if you want it to be able to push 3 rust watts out. So we'll see. But as of now in June 2024, it only requires 1. As far as inputs and outputs, it has 2. It has a power in and a power out. That's it. Very, very simple. Power in, power out. And that's it. I mean, that's really, in a nutshell, that's what it is. The only other thing that it has is a configurable menu, which is the sensor range in meters. So it's going to be from 1 to 30. As you can see, you can drag it. You can also, of course, set the value to some setting, whichever you like. I'm going to leave it on 30 meters. And so that's just the range in a sphere. It's at the center of its own sort of invisible sphere that to any point on the outside, it will detect seismic activity. So at 30 meters, each square in Rust is 3 meters. So 10 of those would be 30 meters. That's this wall here. That is the distance to which it will detect in any direction from itself to a point on a sort of invisible sphere that you can imagine. So not a difficult concept to figure out. As far as what it'll detect, this is the current list. So it'll pass 1 rust watt for bean cans through homing missiles. You can kind of just read the list there. It'll pass 2 for the satchels, torpedoes, explosive 5.56 specifically, and the 40 millimeter HE grenade. And then of course, for the big stuff, the C4 rockets and MLRS, it'll pass 3 rust watts. And so what this means is that this gives you a kind of a crazy amount of power over your base. So you can have 1 or multiple of these set up, including Rust Plus, things like that. And you can say receive Rust Plus on your phone that says you've got basically level 1. You wouldn't know if it was, say, bean cans or an F1 grenade, but you would know that something from that list was detected within the range of your seismic sensor. Same thing for 2 and 3, which of course will be later videos. And so I'm just gonna finish this out by testing them a little bit, showing you, just kind of throwing some of the 3 levels of stuff, and then just some extra commentary at the end to kind of talk about my thoughts on this. So I've got 2 setups here. This one is sending 1 rust watt. Let's make sure it's actually sending 1. There we go. To this seismic sensor, and then I've got 3 lights daisy chain. So if it passes 1, the bottom light will turn on. If it passes 2, the bottom 2 lights will turn on. Of course, 3, they'll all turn on. Pretty simple. I also set this one up over here just because to highlight that, say you run it off a splitter, the splitter will run these in series. This is really no different, but just to show you that it'll do power out 1, 2, and then 3 based on its behavior, and then link to this same thing set to 30. You can kind of see it'll go 1 rust watt, 2 for these, and 3 for all of them. So and I can just kind of start demonstrating that I'm within the 30 meters, well within it. So if I throw an F1 grenade, that is a pass, it's a level 1 we'll call it. And so you'll see that the first lights turn on only, and they turn on for 3 seconds. So that is the pulse. So it's important to understand that these it's not a switch. It's not going to turn things on. It's not going to hold power. It only holds power for 3 seconds. So it really is a new input to the game. And that's the way you should think about it. So if I were to say fire a level 2, there we go. It passed 2 rust watts, again, with only 1 powering it. And then, of course, level 3, if I were to fire a rocket anywhere on this pad, there we go. We got 3. So it passed 3 for 3 seconds. And that's really it. And you can just think about it in terms of how far things away. Anything that I throw right here is going to result in detections for 3 seconds on the level 1. Anything back here, there we go. We got level 2. And so that's really it. Anything outside, if I were to say shoot over here, just the one on the right is going to illuminate over there. Because if you imagine an arc going out around in that sphere, I'm just outside of it for that one over there. So it is pretty sensitive to where it's supposed to be. And note that, say, on this side, I get nothing because I'm on the far side of this wall. I need to be inside that range in order to be detected. And so same thing when you adjust it. If I were to, say, make this, I don't know, 5 meters, I guess. If I were to fire in here, I'm outside of the 5 meters, but I'm within the 30 that this one is set to here. So pretty simple stuff. I'd have to throw it within the range of that seismic sensor to trigger it. And so that's it. That's literally all there is to know about the basics. So now I'm just going to kind of, throw out some extra bonus commentary. If you came here just for the basics, you can take off if you're not interested in this next part. So really my thoughts on this are that you can really start to take control over the, how your base, how you protect your base. Because if you can imagine, say this one, someone on my Discord was talking about, you can have these, in the core, I could set this to 2 maybe. And so if someone's out raiding my base, maybe I'm getting detections outside my base at 30 meters from that one. But it's not until it gets here that I get a, say, level 2 to let me know that they're at my core. You could use these for trap bases. I'm going to definitely make a video about that. You could set this up to where you set up a base that is just tempting to raid. And when they raid in, it starts whatever your trap base is set up to be. You could use, another person on my Discord was talking about turrets, where you could have these things set up to where they switch between different groups of turrets based on the new turret limit. Really, there is just an absolutely huge amount of things that we can start doing with these, and I'm both excited to play with it, and I'm also excited to see what you guys out there in the community come up with, because I think this is really going to make add a new level to the game that will be very enjoyable. So that, folks, is just about all I've got. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them below. Otherwise, you can get me on my Discord. See you later.